Welcome to the America 20XY Weekend Review. Today is Saturday, October the 10th, 2009. I am your host, Andrew Steele. Well, without wasting any time, we're going to get to our first story that broke yesterday, and our first article about it, written by myself. Obama wins Nobel Peace Prize. Yes, seriously. Despite not having served 1 year in office and maintaining 2 wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, a drone bombing campaign in Pakistan, and threatening Iran 2 weeks ago over a nuclear program that our own CIA reported was nowhere close to being weaponized, President Barack Obama has won the Nobel Peace Prize. Unlike his predecessors like Theodore Roosevelt, who negotiated peace between Japan and Russia, or Woodrow Wilson, who pushed to establish the League of Nations, putting whether or not that was a good thing aside, the reasons cited for his receipt of the award are his efforts to reduce nuclear arms of countries we don't like, while allowing Israel to maintain its unspoken of arsenal of over 200, according to Jimmy Carter and the Washington Times, ease tensions with the Muslim world while continuing Bush's once criticized foreign policy against it, and stress diplomacy and cooperation rather than unilateralism in imposing the West's will upon the rest of the world and in placating China, which owns most of our debt. Obama was nominated for the award 2 weeks after his inauguration, while in the first week of his inauguration he had authorized the bombing of 2 villages in Pakistan that killed 22 people. Past recipients of the Nobel Peace Prize also include Yasser Arafat and Henry Kissinger. Now, who were the other nominees for the Nobel Peace Prize this year that Obama beat out? Following, I have some excerpts of a nominee list from the Globe and Mail, just a few of those people. And I may mispronounce the name. If I do, I apologize. But we have Dennis Mukwege. He's a medical doctor, and says, seeing pregnant women arrive at the hospital on a donkey and dying during childbirth encouraged Mukwege to study gynecology. Noticing that so many women had been sexually abused, he later founded the Panzi Hospital in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Hundreds of thousands of female sexual violence victims have been helped so far. And then we have 2 organizations that were up for the prize, Handicap International and Cluster Munition Coalition. These organizations are recognized for their consistently serious efforts to clean up cluster bombs, also known as landmines. Innocent civilians are regularly killed worldwide because the unseen bombs explode when stepped upon. 34 nations are known to have airdropped cluster bombs from the 1970s to the 1990s. And then we have Ingrid Betancourt, French-Colombian ex-hostage. If anyone knows how to bounce back from tragedy, it's Betancourt. During the Colombian senator's 2002 presidential campaign, she was abducted by a Marxist organization and held captive for 6.5 years. Since being rescued in July 2008, she has been dubbed a freedom fighter and symbol of hope. Now, Obama's receipt of this award is drawing criticism from various different people. From his article titled War Criminal Obama Deserves an Oscar but Not a Nobel Peace Prize by Paul Joseph Watson, he cites a few people from around the world who had some things to say on this. We have Issam El-Khazarji, a day laborer in Baghdad, told Reuters he doesn't deserve this prize, meaning Obama. All these problems, Iraq, Afghanistan, have not been solved. The man of change hasn't changed anything yet. Then we have Liaquat Balak, a senior leader of the Jamaat-e-Islami, a conservative religious party in Pakistan, called the award an embarrassing joke. And then, this is by writer Chris Floyd. He said, by implementing his war continuation plan, Obama will complete the work of Bush and his militarist clique, an apparently endless stream of American troops to die, and in even greater numbers to kill, in a criminal action that has helped bankrupt our own country while sending waves of violent instability and extremism around the world. It will further in filth a cesspool of corruption and war profiteering that has already reached staggering world historical proportions. Now, speaking of the Afghan war, we have this story by the AP on October the 8th. U.S. Afghan forces kill Afghan child in raid. The U.S. military says American and Afghan forces accidentally killed the child during a raid on a Taliban compound in eastern Afghanistan. Civilian deaths threaten to undermine Afghan support for international forces, and the U.S. commander in Afghanistan has made protecting innocent Afghans a priority. Wednesday night's incident in Logar province is a reminder of how difficult the task can be. A military statement says the troops came under fire as they entered the compound. They shouted for everyone to come out multiple times before attacking, and some women and children complied. Colonel Wayne Shanks, a U.S. spokesman, said they killed some insurgents but also wounded a young boy who was inside. The boy later died of his wounds. And then we have this article from Press TV on October 8th. Pakistani foreign minister, U.S. may know bin Laden's hideout. The United States may know the location of Osama bin Laden's hideout, says Pakistan's foreign minister. The U.S. may be aware of the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden, Shah Mahmood Qureshi told reporters in Washington on Tuesday, according to the India-based SIFI News. U.S. troops engaged in a gruesome battle in Afghanistan are equipped with sophisticated state-of-the-art technology and weapons, hence they may be aware about bin Laden's whereabouts. SIFI News quoted Qureshi as saying, the United States had recently claimed that the notorious al-Qaeda leader had sought refuge in Pakistan. Osama bin Laden is present in Pakistan. The command system of the Taliban is based there, and they are launching their activities from the suburbs of the city, said a statement issued by the deputy chief of the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad. The U.S. President Barack Obama's administration has repeatedly claimed that the al-Qaeda and its affiliates live in the rugged western regions of Pakistan on the Afghan border. The United States has used such claims as an excuse to attack the tribal areas in the region using its pilotless predator drones. The strikes have resulted in massive civilian casualties, something that the Pakistani government and people have strongly opposed. Okay, and in Iraqi war news, we have this article from antiwar.com by Jason Ditz on October 7th. Maliki warns military straining budget, eyes cuts. Speaking at an economic forum in Baghdad today, Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki cautioned that the massive number of security forces on their payroll were straining the government's budget and preventing reconstruction projects. Maliki hinted that it was his preference to cut back on security forces so as to pay for more economic projects, likely an important attempt to bolster his popularity ahead of elections. The vast majority of the Iraqi government's revenue comes from oil exports, and the drop in the price of oil from its nearly $150 a barrel highs has done serious damage to the nation's budget. U.S. General Frank Helmick cautioned only last week that the low price of oil, dramatically higher than when the U.S. invaded, it should be noted, could pose a threat to the U.S. pullout. And it seems quite apparent that this is the case, as if the Iraqi government security forces stand down in the face of rising expenses, the U.S. will almost certainly be asked to stand back up.